what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves me speechless. It could be model, multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all.
Welcome to Breakthrough Conversations with Rhoda and Company. This is where we have real talk, real conversations, and you can get your breakthrough. Today's episode is titled Color Outside the Lines, Balancing Corporate Ambitions with Creative Entrepreneurship. And guess what? We are joined by Lashondria, but known as Shon, who is the CEO and founder of ShonLuv Events, but she holds it down as a full-time employee at an organization too. So we want to engage Shon in some great conversation. She is unstoppable. She has a lot of personality, and you're going to enjoy this conversation. So Shon, I'm going to just kick it off by asking you one basic question is, just describe for our viewers today what you do professionally during the day and on weekends, and kind of walk us through your journey and how you got to starting your own business.
So, I'm glad you asked, Rhoda. That is a great question and a great starter. So, I work for AT&T. Been here for 26 years in July. Absolutely love my job, love my journey. It has offered me a great life.
Yes.
But a few years ago, I was asked to do a wedding, and I told them no. It was my cousin. She was getting married. She said I would be a great wedding coordinator. And I said no. And then she said yes. And then I said, well, why should I do your wedding? What is it about me? She said I was great with people and I was good with time management. So long story short, I did her wedding. It was perfect. I had not a clue about the wedding industry. I wasn't familiar with wedding coordinating, but I did the wedding. It was great. It was perfect. And people was asking her how much I was getting paid.
Wow.
I was working for free. So then I wanted to really make sure that I could do this because at this point in my life, I was just working, taking care of I was a single mom, taking care of my son, hadn't really found my place. So I went on Facebook, found someone that was getting married. I asked them, could I do their wedding? I did her wedding. She agreed to let me do her wedding.
Okay.
Did her wedding. It was perfect. And I did it for free. They tipped me $800.
Wow.
Baby, I went outside and talked to God. I went outside and talked to God.
What you say to God, Shon?
I was like, God, I think I found my place. I was like, I did it. It was easy. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, I probably can do this. So with that being said, after the first wedding, I went and got training, got a certificate.
Okay.
And then I just started building my business. I didn't know exactly what to do. I was reaching out for help, but I really couldn't get the help that I need.
Right.
Shout out to the gatekeepers.
Yes.
Because sometimes the gatekeepers make you work harder.
Yes.
And basically, you got to do it on your own. You got to get out the mud.
Yes.
And I am kind of thankful for my gatekeepers. But with that being said, I found my place in the industry, started ShonLuv Events. This year I celebrated 100 weddings. And I'm in year 8.
That.
Baby, I'm in year 8, celebrating
year 8.
100 weddings. Yes.
All because your cousin pushed you and made you say yes.
She pushed me and made me say yes because I said no.
Yes. What's the lesson you got out of that? Because sometimes we have to do things afraid and step out of our comfort zone. What's one big lesson you got out of that?
The biggest lesson that I learned, I can't say that I learned it that time, but I learned it the second it came into full circle for me in March this year. But the biggest lesson was do it scared.
Yes, do it anyway.
Do it anyway. If somebody else, because sometimes people see stuff in you that you don't even see in yourself.
Yes.
Sometimes people see stuff in you that you don't even know that you are capable of.
Right.
And me saying no and her pushing me, making me say yes, it made me find my passion.
Right.
It made me find something that I was really, really good at. And I actually consider it a blessing because it's so easy for me to execute a wedding. So,
and I can feel your energy and hear your passion even when you talk about it. But I also feel and hear that same energy and passion when you talk about your full-time job. I just asked you how was work today, and you say it was absolutely wonderful, and I'm killing it.
Yes.
So two things can be true at the same time. You can be loyal and committed to this organization while still pursuing your passions outside of work. So talk to the viewers about how it is to juggle both worlds, and have you ran into any challenges?
Okay, so one of the main challenges that I've had was during COVID in the last few years. I'm deep on social media, but a lot of people tell you be a full-time entrepreneur.
Right.
Go ahead and you can run your business on yourself. But me, I didn't. It wasn't that I couldn't be a full-time entrepreneur. I love my job. I
Right.
love what I do. I love routine. Of course, I'm a wedding, so time is
Yes.
very important to me. But I just love what I was doing, and I also love wedding planning.
Yes.
So it was for me to find balance. It was easy for me to. I had to find balance, is what I'll say. So
yes.
that's pretty much how I find. But I love I love my position. I love my role. I love the company that I work for. It has allowed me a great life. So yeah.
And that's really good for our viewers to note, is that you can do both. Not everyone is built to be a full-time entrepreneur. Not everyone
Absolutely.
desires that full-time. But sometimes to fill our cup fully
right.
and to walk in the purpose that we have for us outside of being behind a 9-to-5 desk, sometimes you have to step out and do that. So, Shon, you have this big personality. You're known for being very vibrant. Tell me, like, what has led to the Shon brand?
So my personality, like you said, is very, very big. But my parents are both full of personality. My father is a jokester, and my mother is the life of the party. So with me, I just really had the best of both worlds.
Right.
I never met a stranger. I can talk with anybody. I always feel like I can fit in with anybody. I feel like I can sit at any table and I can sit at any circle. So
and you have.
Absolutely. I have been blessed.
How do you market yourself and get new clients?
So after 100 weddings, in the beginning, I was really big on social media. Facebook was my place. A lot of people say beware. I was always told in the beginning that Instagram is where I would get the clients that I desire.
Okay.
But for me, Facebook has been my go-to. I have been very, very successful off of Facebook. My friends share my post. And then at one point in my business, I went out and got a website. And I was able to do everything on my own. So I just pretty much market really deep on Facebook. And I just wanted everybody to know, when they thought of a wedding planner, they thought of redhead, bright personality, very professional, Shon with ShonLuv Events.
Right, and go tell it like it is.
And go tell it like it is, baby.
Push you're not gonna hold back.
Not at all. And I absolutely love that about me. Because I feel like I'm real. I feel like I'm genuine. And I feel like you always know what box I'm going to get out of.
Can you share with us a story or something that's memorable, an experience where your creative flair, it made a significant impact on a wedding day?
Oh, absolutely. So, well, I can't, it's because I am not a decorator. What I am is I manage vendors. I manage people. So I make sure that my clients, they run smooth. And I've had vendors who have never worked with me before. But after working with me, once they meet me the week of, most of the vendors meet me the week of the wedding, they absolutely love me. I call them, and I can give you an example. I had one DJ, it was raining, and he told me he was going to be late. And he told me he would be there at 3:00. He better be there at 3:00. And when he pulled up, he was like, man, I knew I better show up at 3:00. I didn't know what the consequence was, but I knew that I was supposed to be there. And that is very important. Building a relationship with people, building a relationship with vendors, that is very important, because that makes me successful in executing my weddings and on the other side, making my clients happy.
Right. So at the core of what you do is leadership. And this podcast is all about women in leadership. So talk about one or two leaders or mentors you've had in your life that have inspired your leadership and how you execute.
So, ladies, if I could give anybody some advice, it would be change your circle. That has been the most that I feel like my life changed when I changed my circle. I changed my friends, and I was able to I met two women, and they are sisters, and they pushed me. I had everybody look at me like, your confidence is so big, but it was a space. There was a space that I was in that I needed to be pushed. They believed in me, they pushed me, and they continue to push me. And with that being said, I just got a promotion at work.
Yay!
And I feel like if it wasn't for my new circle, these ladies love me, they believe in me, that I don't think that I would be where I am at so soon.
Yes.
I probably would have gotten there, but I do know that once I made the change in my relationships, in my friendships,
right,
I soared.
That is so powerful, Shon. And to our viewers, this is a good nugget right here. I have a philosophy that if your circle, the people in your circle, if you can't or don't feel comfortable starting a business with them, you probably have the wrong circle.
Absolutely.
It needs to be people who you are inspired by, who are inspired by you. When you walk in the room, it lights up, they light up, they're so happy to see you. Those are the kind of people you need to be around. And women, we have such a bad rep. And sometimes we perpetuate that stereotype and that we are more jealous of one another versus being of help. There's room for all of us. So can you talk about, you changed your circle. We know that some people are in our life for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. So these are, sometimes you have to change seasons to get to where you're trying to go. Talk to, how do you exit these relationships without it being hostile or negative?
You know what, Rhoda? Sometimes you just grow, and everybody cannot go.
Right.
So while I'm growing, people are unfortunately, they're falling off. And I have to say that a friendship, growing from a friendship, it could hurt. It's like a bad breakup, but you don't have a choice.
Right.
You're pushed. You're pushed into a different space. And with that space, you have to learn to appreciate the people who are around you. And I have to admit that it was very tough for me, but I love the space that I'm in right now.
Right.
And are you going to speak about the Rhoda experience?
I will.
Okay.
Yes.
I am so excited about the Rhoda experience.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
How would you describe the Rhoda experience?
Listen, the Rhoda experience will change you. I am a perfect example of the Rhoda experience. She would probably have to bring me on for another segment for me to get into that. But the Rhoda experience is something that you will have to experience. It changed my life.
Oh, Shon, I didn't have any idea.
You didn't.
No. So the reason why it's dubbed the Rhoda experience, it's just me being very intentional about the mark I want to leave.
Absolutely.
And I want people, after having had an experience with me, number one, I want them to feel inspired. Number two, I want them to believe in themselves. And if we were told more, growing up more positive than we received,
I agree.
I think we will be even further in life. And because we weren't traditionally, I just take that on to be that person. And it just have become such a natural part of who I am that I don't even realize that I'm doing it when I'm pushing people. I remember when I worked at a large healthcare system, and the employees that were on my team, they had a joke, and they would say, if you have an idea and you don't want to lead that idea, you better not tell Rhoda, because she gonna make you lead it. And that is truly how I think people learn. And so by pushing and elevating others, it just fills my cup. Like, I'm getting the chills right now thinking about how special it is to help others to shine.
Absolutely. Don't it feel good?
It does.
It really does feel good to be, for somebody to fill your cup, for somebody to feed into you. Because as women, we are always giving. We're always pouring out our cups. And for someone to pour in your cup, for somebody to believe in you, for somebody to boost your energy, for somebody to let you know that you can do it, to make you confident. Listen, I connected back with my friend Roche, and you her sister. I've been knowing my friend forever.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 years ago, I met you.
Right.
And you changed my life. And I just saw you on stage. I was just coming to see you. So
Yeah.
between the two.
That's right. I was a cast member of the That's What She Said St. Louis chapter show.
Yeah.
Where women share their stories. And I was one of them that was sharing my story. And Shon came to support me.
Inspired.
Yes. It was about 30 or 40
Yes.
people there that came to see me. And so I thank you for doing that. But the next year when the producer was asking for cast members, I was like, recommendations, I instantly thought of Shon. And when I tell you your story...
See?
Oh, my God. If you haven't seen it, you can Google this on YouTube and look for Shon, cast of That's What She Said, to listen to her story. It was vulnerable. It was funny. It was raw. It was real. And it stood out. And it stood out so much that she was one of the cast members that was selected to be featured on the podcast from the original founders of this program.
So talk about the Rhoda experience, baby.
Yeah.
Look,
so that is an example
it is
of
absolutely
the Rhoda
an example.
experience.
I never thought that I would be on stage telling a story of something that changed my life.
Right.
That was a point in my life that changed my life. And I didn't know when I was going to tell the story.
Right.
And I didn't know that was the story that I was going to tell. But then you just putting my name on the table in a room that I was not even in.
Right.
That's what she said.
Right.
You're 2024.
Now you're an alumni.
Yeah. And an alumni,
yes,
you know. And
yes.
I absolutely, again,
Right.
I can't thank you enough.
You're so welcome. Talk about the power of mentorship, because I've heard you talk about I had to get me a mentor. I had to get me a coach, someone to help me manage my business and build my brand.
So I must say I had a coach in every aspect of my life. My business, my professional, and my life. Life coach.
Yes.
And I believe in coaching. I believe the blueprint is there.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't have to create it on our own.
Right.
And sometimes we don't have the capability of creating on our
Right.
own. And people have been successful.
Yes.
So when I started my business, I found me a mentor online. Like I said, I couldn't get any help. It was a lot of gatekeepers.
Right.
Found me a mentor. She was very expensive. I was very scared to pay that. But I knew that it was going to pay off in the end. I was able to get a mentor and I was able to create a successful business. ShonLuv Events is a successful business.
Yes.
I worked very, very hard on it, but I know that without that mentorship, I probably wouldn't be where I was at right now. And now I'm able to help somebody.
Right.
And as far as my professional life, my professional, my professional job, I had a mentor. When I decided that I was ready to move from non-management to management,
yes,
I was able to have somebody help me get my resume. I was able to talk with somebody that was already in the industry that I wanted to be in. I started networking, and that took a lot of confidence.
Right,
because it's hard to just reach out to somebody and
Right.
ask them to have a 15-minute talk with you. So I knew that if I did it with my business, that it would help me be successful in my professional journey.
Yes, that was smart. That was smart. Like, what is one or two things your mentor left you with that you could pass on to others?
My mentor told me that can't nobody outwork me.
Right.
Every time we would meet, first thing he would say, his name Fred Ruffin, because I got a name drop him. He said, can't nobody outwork me. He said, I'm from Walnut Park.
Yes.
And if anybody know what Walnut Park is, he said, can't nobody outwork me.
Yes.
And every time we would start our sessions, that's the first thing he would say. So for me, I felt like if I didn't know how to do this job, I'm going to learn it.
Right.
And ain't nobody going to outwork me.
Right.
And he told me his journey and how fast he moved around in the company that I had been at for 25 years, that he moved around in 9 years. Ain't nobody going to outwork me.
Right. Right.
So that was one of the key things that I learned. Networking was the second thing.
Yes.
And the third thing was probably be available for he told me to be who I am, show my personality. People want to know who you are, not about what you can do. They want to know who they working with. So he said, be real.
That was one of the questions I have. How can embracing one's authentic, colorful self become an asset in the workplace and in your entrepreneurship world?
I got red hair.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that can walk around with red hair.
Yes.
I have red hair, and I think it speaks volumes.
Yes.
I wear a pink suit.
Bright pink. Mm-hmm.
And from what I learned was you have to have black hair.
Right.
You have on a black or blue
Right.
suit in order to be successful.
Yes.
But this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is exactly who I am.
Right.
My personality is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Just authentic, just real and genuine.
Color outside the line.
Color outside the line. And it works.
I love it. I mean, if nothing else others can take from this, it pays to be your authentic self.
Right.
You know, we were created in our own uniqueness. We're all unique, and it was for a reason. And then when we conform to the traditions and the conditioning of the world and show up what we think we should show up as, guess what we're doing? We're depriving ourselves of our authenticity, and we're also depriving the world. There's a reason why we were made the way we were.
Because people watching.
Yes.
So if you are not being your authentic self, you are hurting somebody.
Yes.
Somebody is watching you.
Yep. So what advice, Shon, would you offer other women who are working full-time jobs in corporate America, but who also have a vision or a dream of starting their own business?
I would tell them to, first thing I would say would be change your circle.
Mm-hmm.
What did they say? Dress who you
dress for where
dress
you want
for
to be.
Where you want to be.
Not for where you're at.
Not for where you at.
Yeah.
That would be the first thing that I would say. When I wanted to be an entrepreneur in the wedding business, I reached out to wedding planners. I reached out to who I thought was successful, and I reached out to who I thought had the blueprint. Everybody didn't receive it, but I still reached out because I knew where I wanted to be. So if I could give any advice, it would be to change your circle, get you a mentor, and do work.
Right. And I know this works because I had the opportunity to go with you to a Black wedding vendor fair. Every vendor in the room knew Shon. And she was like, I work with them, I work with them, I work with them. And they was like, we work with her. She's amazing. Is she your wedding person? Oh, my God. And I was with my sister, of course, who's getting married. But that was a testament to your brand and how effective it is. And you know the business.
I am professional. I provide great service. My clients are first. Even though sometimes they are not right, but they are absolutely right.
Yes.
And it works for my brand. It works. And I like I say, I build relationships with people. So
we know working with the public is hard, but working with brides can be harder.
Absolutely.
Do you have a story you could share that was like challenging? Like, have you ever had to terminate a relationship with one of your clients, and then how do you navigate that and still maintain a positive brand?
Okay. So I have. Unfortunately, I have had to fire a bride, and unfortunately I had to fire a bride 1 week before her wedding. But it was the best for me, it was the best for her, and it was the best for my brand. And I was able to work it out where I gave her what she needed. She gave me what I needed.
Okay.
She paid me. I provided her the timeline that she needed, and we were able to break it off amicably and respectable. You know, so I like to have a conversation with my clients, even when I hire them.
Yes.
This is a relationship. And if at some point in this relationship you no longer like me, I no longer like you. And it works for me. So unfortunately, sometimes all the relationships they don't last because it's mental. It takes a lot of work. And sometimes the personalities just clash. So like I say, I feel like I'm always able to be respectable and we have a conversation. And sometimes you just have to let things go. And like I say, if you do things right, you do it professional, it'll work out.
So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs in how to protect yourself? Like for situations like that can come up, what are some things they should do proactively so that when they're in certain situations, they're protected?
I would always say have a contract that has been approved by a lawyer. That's the most important thing that I can say. Creating an invoice, create a system. First of all, create a system, because creating a system, it makes you more professional, and it manages your time, that the system is working for you, and you're not working. You don't have your hand in every pot.
Right.
But the most important thing is to have a contract. Work off a contract. An invoice is not good enough, because a contract protects you, and it also protects your clients. So having a contract, a professional from a lawyer would be the most important thing that I would say to protect yourself and to protect your brand. But remain professional all the time. Protect your brand just by being professional. I see a lot of people on social media, they have a bad review. Leave it alone. It'll go away in 24 hours. They be moved on to something else.
Right.
You give a professional rebuttal, and then you move on. That's it.
That's wise. That's very smart. So, Shon, what steps are you taking to ensure that your voice continues to be heard and celebrated in both arenas, during your day job and in the wedding industry?
So, like I said, I got a promotion. I absolutely love, baby. I am working, and like my mentor said, can't nobody outwork me.
Right.
So right now, what I'm doing right now is I'm getting acclimated to my new position, and I'm thinking about my next position.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing as far as my professional. And as far as my business, I am probably just staying at it and continue trying to be great and provide excellent service to my clients.
Yes, you've met that 100 goal.
Yes.
So what's your next goal?
So my next goal is to grow ShonLuv Events.
Yes.
I have 3 lead coordinators.
Awesome.
That I am onboarding. So I am in the process of just growing out. So just to make it bigger than me.
Right.
I'm having a hard time right now because people just want me.
Right.
But I'm trying to ensure them that I put confidence in my other coordinators. So that's what the plan is right now, is to grow ShonLuv Events.
Yes. So you have coordinators that can support you, and you can send them out. That means you can do multiple weddings in one day.
I can do multiple weddings in one day.
But you want to make sure that they're having a Shon experience.
Definitely got to have a ShonLuv Events experience.
Yes. Yes, that's amazing. How did you celebrate your 100 milestone?
So I am going to celebrate. I haven't celebrated. I was waiting till fall after wedding season. The plan is to have a big party and to have some of my clients roast me.
Yes.
So based off their experience, because trust me, me and guests, I should call it ShonLuv Events and Guest Experience because it's mainly the guests, but my clients love me. So that's what the plan is, to celebrate.
That'll be fun. I'll definitely be there. And that's a wrap. Shon, I want to thank you so much for joining me on Breakthrough Conversations with Rhoda and Company. To remind our viewers, this is Shon Hunt, founder of ShonLuv Events. And thank you for sharing your incredible journey. You certainly have a bright future, Shon. I can see you on TV. I can see you hosting your own talk show, your own podcast. I will be so happy for you to keep shining. So from corporate meetings to wedding magic, Shon proves that when you lead with passion, embrace your full self, and color outside the lines. Breakthroughs happen when you do that. Until next time, I want everyone to keep showing up fully. I want you to keep dreaming boldly and making space for your own breakthroughs, and believe in yourself. Thank you for joining.
Hey, what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves me speechless. It could be model, multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all. Hey, what's your story? A kick-ass mom and 40 under 40. A soccer practice in your high heel glory. Yeah, you do it all.